we have a new segment we are going to inaugurate, and we're going to turn it into also the gulag. So it's going to be a dual segment. And this new segment we are calling, you ever read something in the news or see something online and you think, wow, things are really conforming to my biases there. Like, we'll be doing a show next week. We'll include this next week, but Matt told me that apparently at GoFundMe, there is an effort to unionize. And one of the things that they're saying in terms of not having a union is that the management is saying that they're being disrespectful to the identity of unions, because unions are for people in less privileged sectors of the economy. So I heard that from Matt, and I thought, wow, that's exactly what I think about everything.
I think it's Kickstarter, too.
Kickstarter, excuse me. So Kickstarter executives are using pseudo-woke trash arguments to try to destroy labor unions. That conforms with my biases. And this also conforms with my biases. This is a video that the New York Times did of literally like a YouTube open micer. And let me get personal about this for a second. I'm not above this. I'm not saying that the New York Times should have me do a video on foreign policy hotspots, but I am saying that if apparently an entire production team of the New York Times is available to a profoundly unfunny, like open micer to opine on a place where the United States wants regime change, I think you could have a solid analyst from new media come on and explain to people before they choke through a David Brooks column that Lula's a political prisoner. I mean, come on. So this video, which will also turn into the gulag as well, is maybe one of the most embarrassing things we've ever seen. And then we will explain how it conforms to our biases. But this is, what's her name again? It is
Joanna Hausman.
Joanna Hausman.
There is total chaos in Venezuela. Hunger, lack of medicine, and latest, nearly the whole country had a blackout. But most of the conversation in the States focuses on what Trump is doing about Venezuela, and rumors are spreading that the U.S. is considering military intervention.
All options are open.
This movement of the American left against any U.S. involvement in Venezuela is gaining traction. We've got Noam Chomsky, Roger Waters, Oliver Stone, Boots Riley, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Jill Stein, and Bernie.
Why have you stopped short of calling Maduro of Venezuela a dictator?
Well,
and of course, we've got this lovely guy.
Donald Trump, hands up Venezuela.
It is not a good look when your slogan is co-opted by a tyrannical dictator. Now,
oh, God. All right. So it turns out that this Hausman person, in addition to be very... you were asking yourself, why is some unfunny person with apparently literally the crudest form of identity politics was like, I am personally interested in a coup there because I don't like the government. Like, her only status here is that she is of the identity of the country. Well, it turns out that her father has been named as Juan Guaido's representative to an organization called the IDB.
My father's my father.
I mean,
My father.
That's right. And Ricardo Hausman, who is a Harvard University professor, was an advisor to the government that actually ran Venezuela before Hugo Chavez was elected to power in 1998. So the New York Times put a video out by a subpar internet performer with no specialty knowledge of this issue, and then didn't disclose the fact that her father was literally personally appointed to the IDB by Juan Guaido, the self-declared president that Donald Trump's administration is trying to put in power in Venezuela. They didn't disclose that. Now, Anya Parampil pointed out, as anybody should, this is obvious, The New York Times failed to disclose that Joanna Hausman is the daughter of Guaido advisor Ricardo Hausman, who was instrumental in neoliberalizing and destroying Venezuela's economy in the 90s and wants to do it again. Hashtag weak journalism. Right? Now, guys, what do you think Ricardo Hausman did in response to this? Do you think he said, gee, you know, I stand by my daughter's great work, but probably it should have been disclosed?
Do you think maybe he just kept his mouth shut and tried to pretend it didn't happen?
Yeah, maybe he just said, actually, I have a meeting about how Elliot Abrams can funnel mercenaries into the country to try to start assassinating Bolivarian leaders. I'm a little busy. Or maybe I have a meeting with somebody from the International Monetary Fund about how to privatize things when the regime change finally happens.
Or how to make branches go over power lines faster.
How to make branches. No. Ricardo Hausman echoed the best of our modern political culture, which is he went right to the most dumb, pseudo-woke, the same, like this should be he should be an Amy Klobuchar advisor. This tweet truly deserves at least an honorary mention among the year's most sexist comments. Since Joanna Hausman is my daughter, she's not entitled to her own opinion. She must be speaking on behalf of some male figure that tells her what to say. Seriously. Guys, are you persuaded, or does this confirm your bias about the incredible misuse of these kind of trendy Twitter talking points?
Yeah, I mean, as a Bernie bro, I'm forced to point out that if it was a son YouTube comedian of Ricardo Hausman, I would just let him go.
Right.
Good job,
that is
buddy.
true. I guess we got to be honest. Obviously, if this is Jonah Hausman, we wouldn't have. I mean, we would have critiqued the video, but we would never have brought up the father.
Yeah, because
And the reckless.
he's his own man.
Yeah, he's his own man. So the New York Times, when these like reckless disregard of journalistic ethics, would be different if it was a guy, because the guy's argument stands on his own, of course.
I mean, I'm sure Ben Burgess could identify the fallacy there, but the idea, maybe it's an equivocation thing. The idea that everyone's complaining about her having her opinions, no, it's that her opinions are being laundered as if she's some like new and upcoming YouTube star when her dad works for Guaido.
Right.
Like, it's very simple calculation.
It's really not
and
that complicated.
he must know that, right? Like,
I'm going to assume that he is not a total idiot.
yeah.
And it knows that he's being breathtakingly, comically cynical. And the question is, how many idiots will actually fall for this?
Quite
Chris,
a few, unfortunately.
Sorry?
Got some traction. Quite a few, unfortunately. He got a little traction on that tweet.
Look, these arguments can
They're
be
stupid, it's
bastardized
reactive.
for
people
anything.
react to that. Like, there's a certain group of people who they see them and they're like, oh, I have to like this because of like the grammar of it.
Right. The grammar without any of the content or any of the meaning. And this is actually like, this is also someone in my book, but it's so funny because the IDW rails against this type of thing. And sometimes, by the way, we give them great case studies because some of what is called left, politics is absolutely ludicrous and leads to things like this. But they are actually the pioneers in the type of literalistic bullshit that leads to this type of tweet. People's complete inability to think critically and contextually and just have like a catechism that they could run through. And honestly, like the structure of how absurd this tweet is not terribly different than a Dave Rubin, thing about free speech or whatever. It's all just verbiage.
I'm looking,
cynically deployed verbiage.
I went to the Johanna Hausman YouTube page.
Ooh.
She has 250,000 subs. And it's all stuff like 10 accidental Spanish curse words.
Oh shit! So it's almost like she's not super. I thought there would be ones on like how Bolivarian socialism increased crime in Caracas. No, not even like a measured defense of Bolsonaro and trust fund babies. That might be a good topic for her.
Where are you from?
Venezuela.
Oh, Minnesota. I love Minnesota. I have an aunt or
This has happened to you.
My
It's one of the first
threshold
signs
is
that
super
you're a
off.
Venezuelan.
I can't take it.
Ow!
Matt, I can't take it. I can't take it.
Curses tend to be very creative and take up a greater percentage of your sentence than most people.
¡Verga, qué bolas!
Coño de la madre, qué ladilla.
All right, guys, please. These are our patrons. Why do we punish them like this? Oh my God.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And also, let's not forget too that in that video she explicitly starts calling for U.S. Invasion or military action in Venezuela.
Right.
So it's like this is somebody who's making shitty jokes online and then making shitty political commentary with quite serious consequences.
Do you think she was like, Dad, don't tell me about anything that's happening with Guaido because I have my own opinion about the United States having a regime change and installing you in power? By the way, these are the types of people. If you want to have the resources to bum around New York City and make highly produced, relentlessly unfunny videos, it's pretty helpful if your dad was part of an oligarch government in an oil-rich country.
Maybe her dad and Lin-Manuel Miranda's dad could get their kids together for a play date, and they could put together some great content for all of us.
Oh. If you go and visit Puerto Rico, you will absolutely boycott Hamilton at least. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe